Hello, welcome to this episode of Hampton Roads Business Live. My name is Rory Graham and I'm your host, and today we have the pleasure of having with us Seko Varner from Positive Vibes.
Yes. Good to be here today. It's a great day.
Nice to have you here. I had a very interesting conversation with you before the interview.
Don't hold that against me.
No. So now I know what Positive Vibes are as far as a company. Go ahead and give us an overview of that.
Okay, well, Positive Vibes is an entertainment company that I created when I graduated from Hampton University. It was actually called Naughty Productions at first, while we were on campus. And after I graduated and started doing some events in the Hampton Roads area, there was a group called the Nasty Boys. It was a dance troupe, and people were mixing the names up. So I decided to go with Positive Vibes. It had a more professional feel to it, and I was interested in going into the wedding market. And Naughty Productions wouldn't really go well in the wedding market. So we started doing a lot of events in the area. Started off with just some small weddings, and I kind of progressed my way and started off with just myself, and then later on we had up to 10 DJs. We moved up to 15 DJs, and we used to have our own bridal show at the Norfolk Botanical Gardens. And yeah, so we're an entertainment company,
right.
And we provided disc jockey primarily entertainment for special events, so weddings, corporate events, birthday parties, bar mitzvahs, things of that nature. And we've been involved since 1990. We've been around for a while.
Yeah. What do you? And we talked about this a little bit. What would you say makes a great event? And it surprised me when I asked you that, and you gave me the answer. It was not what I was expecting. Go ahead.
All right. I see a great event kind of like a roller coaster. You have your ups and downs, your swerves, your left and rights. I want to make sure that a great event has a lot of different emotional feels to it. So you want to laugh a lot. You want to feel, touched, where you might even cry a little bit. You might be surprised. You might be on the edge of your seat. It's kind of like a great movie. And I think a great producer puts together a great movie where you feel a whole smorgasbord of emotions. And I think a great event has a whole smorgasbord of emotions based upon a singular focus. So it might be a wedding reception where based upon these two people coming together as one, but there are a lot of people there are a lot of emotions, and we want to amplify those great emotions in a way that people walk away feeling touched. Not that they just went to another event, but they walked away feeling touched. They had an experience. They were on a roller coaster. And when you get off a roller coaster, you go, whew. And I want people to walk out the event and say, wow, that was great. And so I think a great event has a lot of different emotions tied into it.
Like I said, I wasn't expecting it. Okay. Good answer, though.
Right.
All right, so what kind of events do you enjoy then?
Wow. I like the events that have a story to them. My father and mother were both griots, and they were both storytellers. And they told stories for events and things of that nature. My mother was a teacher at some point, worked in a daycare center. My father was a minister. So they were always telling stories. So I like events that have a story behind it. I want to know the backstory. I want to have a glimpse into what the future might be like. And so those events where there's a backstory, where there's a celebration of everything involved for that group, for those people, and there's a direction of what the future might look like. Those are the events that I really enjoy going to.
And so in Hampton Roads, what kind of events are you?
Okay, so I'm an entertainer. So I'm always at someone else's event performing. So when I go to an event, let's say I go to plays. I like plays because there's a great story there. Well, some of the better plays have stories.
Even the bad one's got a story.
Right.
It might not be a good one.
I like UFC fighting because they'll give you the backstory on the fighter. This is what they went through. This is how they struggled. This is how they built their body up to be this massive strength machine. And then you see what happens. And then here's a little point of the future where you'll see where either this person will win or that person will win. But there's a story behind it. And so I like things that have a story that's an intricate part of the experience.
So how did you get involved in this? You mentioned your parents.
Some of it was forced. Some of it was just experiences that I had. I was involved in drama camps, and I was involved in newspapers when I was in high school, and involved in a marching band when I was at Hampton University. I grew up in Columbus, Ohio, so I got a chance to watch the Ohio State Buckeyes, OH, go Bucks. I got a chance to watch the pageantry that they had, and then, you know, going to HBCU, the bands have their own culture, and it's a different experience than what I experienced in a Big Ten school like Ohio State. And just watching people who really focused on putting on great shows really touched me in a way that I didn't understand initially. But as I started working with couples, I said, why don't we do something different? Why don't we do something that's unique? Why don't we do something that's going to make people walk away and talk about your event and use your event as the standard bearer? They're going to measure all the other events they ever go to on your event if we can be creative. And then I found my niche. And Billy Graham mentioned one time, I'm not sure if he created the statement or not, but he said you get rich in a niche. And I believe that. And so I carved out a niche in the entertainment world here in Hampton Roads when it came to special events entertainment, because I found ways to tailor it and personalize it and make sure that people walked away talking about your event and it became the standard bearer.
Yeah, because I noticed you don't use the term DJ, you use the term entertainer.
Right.
And
right.
I think that's got a lot to do with the philosophy that you bring to the whole business that you're doing.
Right. Now, I started off as a DJ. I just played the music. But one of the things that I noticed is in Hampton Roads, some of the events that I started off doing, there was a model where the DJ just played the music, and then there was a mistress of ceremony. All right. And most of the times I would watch these mistresses of ceremony and say, oh man, this is horrible. You know, okay, sometimes they mispronounce the names. A lot of times there just wasn't a fervor and excitement about it. They didn't know how to grab the audience vocally and to bring the audience to their knees. They just didn't have the skills that I thought were entertaining. And so after watching those facilitators, those MCs, those mistresses and masters of ceremony, I said to myself, I could do better. And I started trying to hone in on those skills. And once I thought I was, pretty good, I started marketing those skills in my offerings. And as I became better and more experienced in it, I started finding other ways that we could amplify and create an experience that hadn't been created before. So I started off watching people and learning from their mistakes, learning from their successes as well.
Mm-hmm. Okay, now I've got this question down here, so I'm going to read it so I don't mess up. Your Instagram account handle is Grandpa Crunk. And it says, is there a story behind that? I'm sure there's a story behind that.
Okay, so the term crunk in the early 90s meant very hyped, over the top, just going crazy, okay? Mm-hmm. So C-R-U-N-K, it really kind of developed in the Atlanta, the southern area of the United States. And we know what a grandpa is. Mm-hmm. All right. So in the around 94 or so, I was doing a party, and a whole group of young people came up to the table, and they slammed their hands down on the table and said, do you have this? And I said, oh, I have that. You might want to try this. And I started giving them options and telling them what I had to offer. And they're like, oh, Grandpa is about to get crunk. And then they started saying, Grandpa Crunk. Now, I've never seen these people before. If I have, I wouldn't even know it. But, they've probably all grown up and such. But it just kind of stuck with me because I have an old professional approach to making a really hype event. And so it's kind of worked. I use it as a producer. I create some music, some original music, and I use the term Grandpa Crunk. And it's crazy, but after you heard it the first time, you won't forget it.
So I know that your business is involved with the community a lot.
Right.
And so is there a reason that you devote so much time into that?
Well, one of the reasons that I devote a lot of time into doing community events is because I've been able to find that the people who really like my services and will pay my price point are those who see me. They see my performances. And so I'll do a lot of community events so people will get a chance to see me perform live and interacting with people. And those who say, oh, that's the entertainment level I want, that's the experience that I want to bring to my event, they don't say, what are your prices? They say, are you available at this date? Those are the clients I want. I want the clients who want the experience, and some of them are willing to, talk to family members and borrow money, whatever, to pay for my services. I don't want people who are letting their fingers do the shopping to find the best prices. I'll direct people to people who have lower prices than I do, because I realize having a budget is very important, and I don't want people to go over their budget. Being price conscious is something I really emphasize. But the client that I want is the client that says, I want that entertainment level at all costs. So
okay. I know we spoke before, and we were talking about comedy in entertainment and a percentage of what do you think the percentage of comedy is, even in what you do.
Right. I think comedy is very important because comedy has a way of deepening messages. It also has a way of presenting messages that are challenging in a fun way where people can digest them. All right, so at events, if we can make sure there's going to be a 40%, maybe even 50% level of comedy throughout the event, people will remember that. Because there are going to be some people who, for health reasons or for religious reasons or whatever reasons, don't dance and party. But if you can make them laugh and if you can make them smile, they'll walk out of there saying, that was the best party I ever went to, and they may never, ever hit the dance floor.
Right. Hadn't thought of that.
Yeah. So that's why I think comedy is important. It also gives that wide range of emotions that I talked about.
Yeah, well, you've dealt with a lot of people. Do you have any advice for couples that are engaged?
I do. I think that engaged couples need to spend as much time, and definitely more time, on the relationship than they do on the event. And a lot of times they get laser focused. I have those bridezillas who get laser focused on the day, but they're not laser focused on their relationship. And so the important piece is not the wedding day. The important piece is the 25th anniversary, the 50th anniversary. When you have a long-standing, solid family, those are the important things. And so how do you get those things? You get those things by sowing seeds and watering those seeds and plowing those seeds in your relationship. So doing things that are going to make sure your relationship is truly a deep and strong founded relationship. And those things aren't based on one day. It's not based on the wedding dress. It's definitely not based on the tuxedo. It's not based on the venue. It's not based on the food. I'll give you the best entertainment, definitely. But that entertainment will simply have people talking about that day. I want people to walk away talking about your relationship and saying, I want to love like that. And so Financial Peace University, Dave Ramsey has a class. I think that's a really strong thing that couples can go to. Going to couple retreats and going out the country and spending time just with each other. Having a weekly or monthly sit down where they go over finances, because a lot of marriages break up because of finances. Finding ways to celebrate each other's spiritual walk. I think those are things that are important. And looking at values, because the person that I'm with, they grew up in a totally different way than the way that I grew up. So how do I make sure that my wife's values and my values line up? And my wife and I go through a lot of things to make sure that we work on our relationship. And some of it is fun, a lot of it is challenging, but most of it is important for the longevity of our marriage and for our children. I want my children to say, I want to love like that.
Well, have I covered everything?
I think you can. I think you have. Of course, I can talk and I can go on and I can continue entertaining, but I appreciate this opportunity to share to the Hampton Roads area what Positive Vibes has to offer. And I guess the other thing I want to say is one of the things that I've gotten into recently is screenings. So we've done some screenings at the Nayroth Cinema. We've done a screening at the Military Cinemark Theater. And that's another area that I'm starting to develop a lot of interest. There are a lot of great independent films. All of them are not online. Right. So I'm now doing a lot more work in the area of promoting these independent films. And those are another great experience that I can tie into what I'm already doing with Positive Vibes. So we provide services And we also put on our own events that are entertaining as well.
Okay. All right. Well, if you have an event coming up and would like to talk to Seko about it, contact Positive Vibes. The contact information is at the end of this video, and it's also at the bottom of this page. And I appreciate you coming in and being our guest today.
Good deal.
Thank
Good
you.
deal. Okay.
All right.
Okay.